In the heart of Camp Forest, Tennessee, on March 15, 1945, Anna Pfizer lingered just beyond the door of Interrogation Room 3, clutching her clipboard, while steeling her nerves for yet another standard procedure. At 28, she was among the dozen German-American interpreters stationed there, sifting through the constant influx of captives arriving from the European front. The job grew monotonous, yet it remained essential, repeating the inquiries about identity, position, affiliation, and capture details each time with a new individual. For 8 straight months, her routine had been unvarying: 2 raps on the door, then entry. Today, the detainee faced away from the doorway, her palms resting neatly on the steel surface, posture taut, like someone clinging to composure amid utter humiliation. Protocol as always. Captain Morrison, the lead examiner, motioned Anna to her position. "German woman," he noted curtly, pushing a slim dossier her way. "Taken near Cologne 3 weeks back in a Wehrmacht auxiliary signals group. Hasn't been very forthcoming yet." Anna acknowledged with a dip of her head, easing into her spot and flipping open her pad. Over the last 8 months, she'd handled translations for countless inmates. The process had become second nature. She scarcely glanced their way now, just extracted the data, shifted German phrases into English, documented it all, and advanced to the following case. Quote 2, Morrison instructed. Quote 3, Anna relayed the query in German, her tone crisp and impersonal. The measured delivery she'd honed through months of these encounters. Impartial, never warm or harsh, purely effective. The captive's frame went rigid. She stayed turned away. Quote 4 came the soft reply. Quote 5. The sound struck Anna like an abrupt impact. That timbre, she recognized it instantly, from long before words came easily to them, before oceans and borders pulled them apart, before conflict turned them into adversaries. Her fingers halted above the page. The pen tumbled from her grasp, rattling against the tabletop. Morrison's brow creased. Issue, Pfizer. Anna found herself mute, breathless, transfixed on the outline of the prisoner's skull. The cascade of hair over her back, the precise tilt of her neck that Anna could identify blindfolded, shaped by years of closeness, from countless braids woven in their youth, from evenings watching that head bent over schoolwork at the Chicago home they shared. That was her sibling. Gradually, the woman pivoted, their gazes connected. Time halted for 3 heartbeats. Greta's complexion paled. Her lips parted, sealed, parted once more. Silence followed. Anna sensed her own features mirroring the motion. Waves of disbelief, familiarity, dread surged through her, intense enough to make her sway on the verge of collapse in that confined space. 13 years. 13 years without glimpsing those features. Pfizer. Morrison's words echoed distantly. Underscore, quote underscore, 8 underscore underscore. Anna compelled a nod, retrieved the pen with effort, and coaxed out a response, though it emerged strained and shrill. Quote 9. She swallowed hard. Quote 10. He eyed her briefly before shifting focus back to the prisoner, to Greta, to Anna's long-lost sister, unseen since 1932. Not since their father had whisked her off to Germany, leaving Anna at 15 and Greta at 13, as their fractured family splintered over irreconcilable views on nurturing their girls in a crumbling era. Weber, Morrison pressed on, Chicago, Illinois. When exactly did you depart the U.S.? Greta's stare remained fixed on Anna. Her expression betrayed it all. Stunned, anxious, pleading. A barrage of unspoken queries. Anna gave a faint headshake. Not in this place. Not at this moment. Stay silent. Conceal it. Greta grasped the signal, evident in her look, the intuitive bond forged in childhood, their private, voiceless sisterly code. Quote 13, Greta stated, her tone gaining firmness despite quivering fingers on the desk. Quote 14, quote 15, Morrison probed. Quote 16, he jotted entries, unaware of Anna's unsteady grip as she interpreted, oblivious to the moisture gathering in her eyes' edges, blind to the enormity unfolding in his chamber, siblings torn asunder by global strife, now positioned opposite each other in a detention site, one clad in Allied attire, the other bearing foe insignia, both compelled to withhold the reality, for voicing it could shatter their worlds. Morrison delved into her military history. Greta responded by rote, signal handling, dispatch forwarding, clerical duties, no frontline involvement, no classified elements. Anna conveyed it all, her delivery holding firm even as turmoil raged inside her. It was Greta herself, the young Greta who once trembled during storms, who gathered fallen leaves each fall and tucked them between book pages, who wept endlessly over their lost cat and refused all comfort for days. Now she wore a drab prison outfit stamped with PW, fielding inquiries about her time in the Wehrmacht. As Anna relayed everything to the foe who had seized her. "We'll pick up tomorrow," Morrison declared at last. "Same hour. I need specifics on her unit's messaging procedures." The guard stepped in to escort Greta out. She rose deliberately by the exit, lingering for a brief instant before looking over her shoulder. Anna fixed her gaze on her notepad as the door shut. Morrison collected his documents. Quote 17, he remarked. Quote 18. The hesitation on specific topics. Anna felt her throat constrict. When I probed about living kin, she mentioned her father passed in 1942. But her expression, she held back details. Anna's reality shifted. Their dad was gone. Greta had revealed it to her indirectly, via Morrison in this agonizing chain of relay, without Anna able to probe further. "Grief," Anna replied. "Folks conceal their sorrow." Perhaps Morrison rose. "We'll probe further next time, uncover more on her household dynamics. That's often the key to pressure points." Pressure. He aimed to exploit their relatives for advantage. "Yes, sir?" That evening, alone in her bunk, Anna lay awake. The queries raced on. How did Greta wind up in the Wehrmacht? What upheavals had gripped Germany across those 13 years? Was their father's passing from illness, or tied to the conflict? Did Greta resent America? Did she fault Anna for remaining stateside? And most pressingly, what risks if their sibling bond came to light? Translators couldn't form ties with captives. It undermined impartiality, posed hazards to safety. Exposure would strip Anna of her role, trigger probes, her whole military history scrutinized. Yet Greta faced worse. If ties to US staff emerged, suspicions of spying or infiltration could arise. Isolation, fiercer questioning, designation as a peril. Silence shielded them equally. Yet it demanded Anna face her sibling repeatedly, feigning detachment. This tale follows Anna and Greta Fischer, siblings divided by a globe, demanding allegiance to rivals. Over the coming 46 minutes, observe their struggle in an unthinkable bind, spotting kin amid foes, aware that admission might ruin everything. Beyond combat, it's the unseen barriers fracturing kinships, the deceptions for endurance, and the tipping point where quiet turns riskier than confession. 6 key disclosures shape this narrative. The initial arrives in 4 minutes, their father's demise and its impact. The next at 18 minutes, Greta's path to the Wehrmacht. Then 28 minutes, Anna's true translator duties. Followed by 36 minutes as fellow linguists grew suspicious. At 44 minutes, Greta's dire dilemma. And finally, at minute 48, post-war outcomes. Stick through the full 50 minutes, the close defies predictions. No glamour, no tidy resolution, Simply two siblings enduring a realm bent on enmity. Return now to Chicago, 1925, when the girls were mere kids, and their father chose a path that shadowed them eternally. Come morning, Anna arrived for her shift, bearing shadows beneath her eyes. The night had blurred in endless loops of that shared glance. Greta's features, the jolt, the dread, the wordless accord that linked them. En route to the admin centre, she passed the detainee quarters. Inside one, Greta stirred into her initial complete day at Camp Forest. Had rest come to her, or had similar doubts plagued the hours as they did Anna? In the interpreter's space, co-worker Sarah Chen sat poring over dossiers for her upcoming grillings. Quote 21, Sarah offered, looking up. Quote 22. No, merely a migraine. Sarah gave an understanding dip of her head. Morrison's a demanding boss, relentless in his pursuits. He'll extract every scrap from that detainee. Anna's gut twisted. That detainee? Greta reduced to such, no longer kin, merely a source to wring dry. Did you skim her dossier? Sarah inquired casually. German-American roots, Chicago birth, emigrated young. Odd case. Most inmates hail from Germany proper. Curious about her backstory. Anna schooled her features to blandness. We'll uncover it. At 1,000 hours, Anna re-entered room 3 for questioning. Greta waited there, already in place. On this occasion, Anna caught sight of her sister's expression right away. She noticed how Greta's gaze followed her every step toward the table. There was a silent plea in those eyes. What should we do next? Captain Morrison followed Anna into the room. Quote 23, he announced, quote 24. Greta's glance darted toward Anna before returning to Morrison. Ja, she replied in German, a heart attack, in Berlin, during August. Anna relayed the words evenly, even as grief welled up inside her. Their father gone for 3 years already, and here she was, discovering it in a stark interrogation chamber while interpreting her sibling's account for a U.S. officer. Quote 27, Morrison inquired. Quote 28, quote 29. Greta paused briefly. Quote 30, Anna's breath hitched sharply. Their mother, Dorothy Fisher, remained alive in Chicago, still holding out hope for word from a daughter lost to silence for 6 long years. What stopped the correspondence? Morrison probed further. The wartime postal system collapsed. I attempted letters, but they all came back undelivered. Morrison jotted down the details. Now, regarding your role in the Wehrmacht, when did it start? In 1943, after father's death, I required an income. The Wehrmacht was recruiting auxiliaries for clerical and signalling roles. Not driven by any political fervour then, Greta's jaw clenched visibly. Anna conveyed the response, and Morrison arched a brow. The questioning dragged on for a full hour more. Inquiries into her division, her responsibilities, the superiors she'd collaborated with, routine intel collection. None of it promised major breakthroughs for the Allied cause. Yet Morrison was methodically constructing a dossier, hunting for discrepancies, probing for lies. All the while, Anna observed her sister closely. Greta had transformed. The tender young woman who once wept for lost pets had evolved into a resolute adult discussing military duties with cool precision. Still, Anna detected echoes of the girl from their past. The subtle, lip-biting under stress, the restless tug at her collar with her left hand. Tiny signs only kin would spot. Once the interview wrapped and Greta was escorted out, Morrison faced Anna. Your thoughts? You've got more years in this game than me. How does she strike you? Anna selected her phrasing with precision. Her account of the service rings true. Basic office tasks, no frontline action, no fanaticism. She joined out of necessity to endure. I concur. that positions her well for potential alliance. Anna's spirits plummeted. Alliance. Quote 41, quote 42, quote 43. Anna grasped it at once. Morrison aimed to enlist Greta as a source, dangling better conditions for her aid, which could endanger her further if fellow captives caught wind. Quote 44. Morrison continued. Quote 45. Anna inclined her head, sensing the noose tightening on them both. That night, Anna crossed a line she'd never approached. She broke regulations. She sought Greta's entire dossier, not merely the session notes, but the exhaustive archive, seized documents, belongings, health reports, all the military's intake records. The clerk handed it over unquestioned. Interpreters enjoyed such access. Alone in her bunk, Anna delved into the folder. Amid the routine forms lay one faded photo, folded and threadbare, tucked in Greta's clothing at capture. It depicted their father, Heinrich Pfizer, aged beyond Anna's last memories, with greying hair and a gaunt frame, posed in a modest Berlin flat. He clutched a July 1942 newspaper, mere weeks prior to his end. Scrawled on the reverse in Greta's script, quote 46. Anna fixated on those final words until tears obscured them. He confessed it was an error. Their father, the one who'd shattered their home, uprooted Greta to Germany amid his struggles with America, divided his girls by a vast sea. In his final days, he'd owned the regret. Clutching the image to her heart, Anna allowed the sobs to come, the first since her sister's arrival in that room. Not solely for him, but for all it evoked. 13 years apart, a family unravelled by a single man's longing for the old world. Two women thrust to warring fronts in a conflict they never chose. Now, 3 years following their father's passing, his daughters at last came together again, under the most dreadful conditions imaginable, forbidden from conversing openly, barred from recognising the bond that had shaped their lives, reduced to upholding a painful pretense. Anna gently slid the photograph back into the folder. She'd need to hand it over the next day. Yet for this evening, just a short while, she could hold on to this tiny fragment of her sister's existence, a testament that Greta had preserved their father's legacy amid the chaos of war, clinging to that familial tie, even as the world around her crumbled. Come dawn, Anna would resume her duties in Interrogation Room 3, conveying Captain Morrison's inquiries, observing her sister's replies, all while feigning ignorance of their connection, since that pretense alone ensured their mutual protection. To grasp the events unfolding in that chamber, one must first delve into the preceding years, uncovering how these two siblings wound up pitted against each other in conflict. Their story originated in Chicago during 1925. Anna and Greta Fischer were raised in a German-American family on the city's north side. Their father, Heinrich, had arrived in the United States in 1910, wed an American named Dorothy, and established a thriving career as a machinist within Chicago's thriving manufacturing industry. The sisters were devoted companions. Anna, the elder by 2 years, served as the guardian, pragmatic and methodical, ensuring homework was completed and they arrived at school punctually. Greta, the junior, possessed a vivid imagination. She crammed journals with tales and drawings, discovered wonder in the ordinary, gathered autumn foliage, crafted intricate fairy dwellings in the yard, wept over their deceased feline, and remained inconsolable for days. They divided a single bedroom, confided intimate thoughts, and divided all that truly counted. Yet lurking below their idyllic youth, their parents' union was steadily unravelling. Heinrich struggled to acclimate fully to American ways, yearning for Germany's tongue, customs, and innate sense of community. As the 1920s unfolded and he observed Germany's plight under the Treaty of Versailles, his bitterness toward his new homeland intensified. He spoke often of going back, of nurturing his girls as authentic German daughters. Dorothy stood firm in opposition. The US was their true residence. The children were American by birth and right, rooted here. She refused to displace them to a nation ravaged by financial ruin and turmoil. By 1931, disputes erupted constantly. Heinrich extended his workdays, frequented German-speaking enclaves more often, distancing himself from his spouse and from Anna, who, at 14, openly challenged his longing for a place she'd never experienced. Greta, however, differed markedly. At 13, squeezed between warring parents, she sought to satisfy them equally, mastering German with greater ease than her sister, absorbing tales of the ancestral land from her father, evolving in his eyes into the child who still comprehended his soul. In January 1932, Heinrich resolved his path. He would depart for Germany, bringing Greta along. The custody dispute proved swift and savage. Retaining his German nationality, he claimed his paternal rights over her. Though Dorothy's attorney resisted fiercely, courts in 1932 America offered scant safeguards for mothers compared to later eras. Heinrich secured guardianship of one child, stipulated that he abandon Anna in the process. He accepted the terms instantly. On the day of departure, Anna lingered at the railway station, gazing as her father and sibling climbed aboard. 15 years old, she grasped the gravity fully, but lacked the maturity to intervene. Greta glanced rearward, flattened her palm to the glass, silently formed phrases Anna couldn't catch yet intuitively knew. "I'll write. I promise to return." But return she did not. Correspondence arrived sporadically in the initial year. Greta described Germany, their fresh Berlin dwelling, adapting to a land that ought to feel innate, yet struck as utterly alien. She expressed longing for Anna, for their mother, for Chicago's familiar streets. Anna responded with updates on classes, on Dorothy's unending sorrow after the younger girl's loss, on daily existence, minus their presence. Then, in 1933, Hitler seized control. The tone of the letters shifted. Greta avoided political topics, instead lauding the emerging regime and its revival of the nation. Her phrasing echoed others, likely their fathers, or the pervasive propaganda infiltrating every corner of German society. By 1934, communication ceased altogether. Anna persisted in reaching out, but her missives drew no reply. She contacted her father, earning a curt acknowledgement. "Greta is fine. She belongs to Germany now. Allow her to embrace it. Allow her to embrace it," as though allegiance could be imposed at will, as if over a decade of American upbringing might vanish after mere years in Berlin. By 1936, Anna had reached 18. Nearing high school completion, pondering her future path. Her mother urged her to pursue studies in linguistics. "Maybe one day," Dorothy murmured softly, "you'll be able to track her down." Anna signed up for classes at the University of Chicago, focusing her studies on German language and literature, and she gained a fluency that delved deep into cultural nuances, political undercurrents, and the nuanced layers of meaning that turned translation into both artistry and precision. She convinced herself the purpose was to grasp the nation that had claimed her sister. Deep down, though, she pursued it with the dream of conversing with Greta once more. By 1939, as Germany marched into Poland, Anna was 22 and employed as a translator at a Chicago import business. When her mother inquired about her concerns for Greta, Anna responded with raw honesty. "I don't recognize her anymore. She's been away for 7 years. She's German now, I'm American. We stand on opposite sides." Yet voicing those words didn't make them ring true in her heart. Following Pearl Harbor and America's plunge into the conflict, Anna took decisive action. She submitted an application to the Army's Linguistics Initiative and was swiftly approved. She underwent training at Fort Snelling in Minnesota, emerging as one of the initial women assigned as German interpreters to prisoner-of-war handling centers. She framed it as patriotic duty, a contribution to the effort. But in her solitary reflections, she faced the reality. She was searching for Greta. Not deliberately or overtly, yet with every detainee whose words she rendered, she searched their features for familiar traces. Each name she encountered, she compared to echoes from the past. Finding her sister seemed improbable. Europe sprawled enormously. The conflict swirled in disorder, and the chances were beyond reckoning. Still, she sought all the same. Then, on March 15, 1945, inside Interrogation Room 3 at Camp Forest in Tennessee, there she was, Greta Weber, seated opposite, under an assumed married surname, taken prisoner near Cologne while part of a Wehrmacht auxiliary signals team. The young woman Anna had parted from in 1932 had transformed into an adult, aiding the foe. And Anna, once the guardian big sister, now wielded power over her destiny. During the fifth session of questioning, Morrison shifted tactics. "Weber," he stated, "I'm trying to comprehend why you enlisted in the Wehrmacht. You claimed it stemmed from financial hardship, yet Germany offered alternatives in 1943, like factory jobs or farm labour. What drew you to the military?" Greta fell silent for an extended beat. Anna observed her sibling's expression, noting the mental weighing of risks. How much honesty could she afford? "My father passed away in August 1942, Greta eventually revealed. He'd received a modest pension from his machinist days, but that ceased upon his passing. I had no relatives left in Germany, no spouse, no kids. At 23, I faced zero earnings and bleak horizons." She hesitated. By 1943, the tide had clearly turned against Germany in the war. Whispers of it spread everywhere, though few dared voice it openly. Factories demanded grueling 12-hour days for pay that left you hungry. Farm work broke your spirit amid endless fields, yielding just scraps to eat. The Wehrmacht, however, provided stability, steady food, a bed, shelter, and for those in desk roles, a degree of protection. I never saw combat. My duties involved organizing documents and passing along wireless communications from Berlin desks. Morrison inclined closer. "Yet surely you realize the cause you backed, the government's deeds, the camps, the widespread killings." Greta's chin set firmly. "I absorbed the official stories from the broadcasts. The full reality only emerged toward the end, when denial became impossible. And even if I'd uncovered it sooner, my dilemma would have worsened. Defying orders risked jail or execution, while complying entangled me in horrors." As Anna conveyed these words, a lump formed in her throat. She'd never viewed it through Greta's eyes before. For years she'd pictured her sister settled snugly in Hitler's Germany, embracing the ideology, perhaps even devoted to it. But Greta had been ensnared, much like countless everyday Germans who weren't fervent party members, yet found no escape but to join the machine or face its crush. Morrison pushed further. Records show a short marriage from 1940 to 1941. Want to elaborate? Colour drained from Greta's cheeks. Anna was caught off guard. She'd spotted no mention of a wedding in the documents. "His name was Karl Weber," Greta replied in a subdued tone. "We wed in June 1940. He deployed to the Eastern Front come September and fell in battle by November 1941. "My condolences," Morrison offered, and genuinely so, it seemed. "Don't be," Greta countered, her tone like frost. "He was a fanatic, saw the war as noble, believed in forging a Reich for a millennium. expected me to honour the fatherland by giving him heirs. She met Morrison's gaze squarely. The day the wire arrived announcing his death, I experienced emptiness. No sorrow, no ease, just void. I'd wed him to please my father, who insisted on a solid German match. I endured the marriage through 16 months of his absence at the front. His end brought only one sensation: liberation. Anna's fingers trembled while she interpreted. Her sister had tied herself to a Nazi for 16 months, a secret Anna had never suspected. Following his death, Greta went on. Quote 47, Morrison jotted down details. Quote 48, Anna shut her eyes tightly. Her sibling had wiped away her existence, acted as if Anna were non-existent, not from malice or disloyalty, but sheer necessity for staying alive. Admitting to an American sister amid Nazi Germany could prove fatal, much as admitting a German sister in this US POW facility posed risks today. Each had been compelled to blot out the other, to feign ignorance of their bond. Yet here they were, seated opposite one another at a table, upholding the pretense, concealing truths, safeguarding one another solely through the ongoing deception. The questioning sessions persisted, held 3 times weekly, on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, for durations of 2 to 3 hours apiece. Anna conveyed Morrison's inquiries into German, while Greta responded. They upheld the illusion of unfamiliarity, though subtle cracks appeared. In one meeting, when Morrison probed into Greta's early years in Chicago, she described the playground where she and her sister had romped, the local library for their weekend escapes, and the nearby soda fountain famed for its superior chocolate malts. Anna rendered these recollections into English, voicing them even as her personal recollections surged forth. The identical spots, the very same haunts. Morrison remained oblivious, but Greta caught on. Anna spotted the moisture welling in her sister's gaze, hastily concealed by a blink. On another occasion, Morrison noted that Greta's mother, Dorothy Pfizer, persisted in Chicago, confirmed alive by the Red Cross. For a fleeting instant, Greta's composure fractured. Then she restored her facade. "Is she aware I'm still here?" Greta inquired. "The Red Cross will notify her," Morrison replied. "Might I send her a letter once the processing concludes? There are rules in place, protocols, paperwork entanglements, official hurdles." As their mother lingered in Chicago, uncertain if any of her girls had endured the conflict, Anna yearned to shout, to disclose it all to Morrison, that she was Greta's sibling, that their parent merited word of both daughters' survival, that this whole masquerade inflicted agony on all parties. Yet she held her tongue, for unveiling the reality wouldn't merely impact her and Greta, it would ripple to their mother too. Should the military uncover Anna's concealed tie to an inmate, it might ensnare everything. Greta's return arrangements, Anna's vetting for clearance, their mother's prospects for contacting Greta. The framework insisted on division, impartiality, ensuring kin ties didn't meddle with wartime imperatives. Thus Anna rendered translations across days and meetings, observing her sister mere steps distant, near enough for a reach, yet worlds apart. By the 4th week, a shift occurred. Morrison delved deeper, querying specifics on Greta's outfit's messaging systems, cipher techniques, and identities of key personnel managing confidential data. Greta's replies turned cautious. Quote 52, she repeated. Quote 53, Morrison bore down. Quote 54. Quote 55, Morrison grew restless. "You're shielding them, folks who wouldn't lift a finger for you." "Why? I'm shielding no one. I lack the details you're after." The atmosphere thickened across encounters. Anna sensed Morrison's mounting exasperation, his intensified probing from varied perspectives, ratcheting up the strain. She also noted Greta's retreat, her sharpening defences, her increasing seclusion, until at last Morrison played his hand. In a Friday interrogation that April, he declared to Weber, quote, 56. Greta froze rigidly. Quote 57. Greta fixed her gaze on him. Quote 58. Quote 59. Greta turned her eyes to Anna, truly meeting them. For the first instance beyond their initial spark of awareness, their stares locked. Anna caught the silent plea in her sister's gaze. What do I do? And a wave of nauseating dread washed over her as she grasped that Greta was seeking advice from her own sibling, right there at the table, despite the divide of loyalties. Yet Anna remained powerless to respond, frozen behind her impartial interpreter's facade. Greta shifted her attention back to Morrison. Quote 61 she stated. Quote 62, he responded. Once the interview concluded and Greta was escorted out, Morrison pivoted toward Anna, a smug grin on his face. Quote 63, he declared. Quote 64. A surge of queasiness threatened to overwhelm Anna. What she had kept hidden from everyone, what she could never reveal, was her deeper involvement. Over the last 6 months, she had collaborated with Army counterintelligence, sharing insights on POW mindsets, flagging possible threats to security, and even pinpointing individuals suitable for recruitment efforts. It began modestly. In October 1944, a counterintelligence officer by the name of Colonel Hayes had pulled her aside. Quote 65, he began. Quote 66. Quote 67, she had inquired. Quote 68, Anna had consented. It felt vital. A calculated step toward victory, an essential contribution. She convinced herself it advanced the war's end, but suddenly her own sister fit that profile. Lately, Anna's updates to Colonel Hayes had covered notes on Greta Weber, minimal devotion to ideology, roots in America, service driven more by finances than fervour, open to persuasion for collaboration. She had penned those evaluations unaware of their blood tie. Now they fueled the pressure against Greta. Morrison's pitch, trading intel for improved treatment, stemmed straight from Anna's analysis. Unwittingly, she had laid the snare her sister now faced that evening. Anna demanded an urgent conference with Colonel Hayes. They convened in his office well past lights out, after the camp had quieted. Quote 69. Anna ventured cautiously. Quote 70. Hayes arched a brow. Quote 71. Quote 72. The quiet lingered for a full 10 seconds. Quote 73. Hayes commanded at last. Anna laid it all out. The family's fracture in 1932. The vanished years, the jolt of rediscovery. Her current untenable bind. Once done, Hayes reclined in his seat. Why hold this back from the start? To shield her and myself, she admitted. I hope to navigate the questioning, submit unbiased summaries, see her transferred out, and avoid further encounters. But Morrison's pushing for her enlistment now? Precisely, sir, and I believe our kinship alters everything. Anna paused. I'm unsure of my stance, sir. Only that my impartiality is gone. I can't endure translating in that space as he urges her to betray colleagues. Hayes regarded her intently. Pfizer, grasp this. Your sister joined the Wehrmacht of her own accord? No matter her reasons, she contributed to the Nazi apparatus. Affirmative, sir. And we're fighting to conclude this conflict. Insights from captives like her could preserve American soldiers' lives. Understood, sir. So, what precise action do you seek from me? Anna drew in air. Pull me off the sessions. Use another interpreter. Allow my withdrawal. And her fate? The standard path, minus my involvement. Hayes shook his head deliberately. That's not our protocol. Your profile deems her approachable for recruitment. Morrison concurs. We'll press ahead. The sole issue is your role, or a replacement's. Opt for someone else, Anna urged without delay. You believe that spares her pain? An outsider, blind to her history? Less inclined to empathy? The snare tightened. Hayes inclined closer. My view, Pfizer, your presence offers her the strongest safeguard. You comprehend her essence. You hold concern for her. You'll ensure Morrison stays within bounds. But I cannot. You will and must. It's your duty. Your nation demands it. And so does she. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. Hayes's face grew sombre. She'd face standard processing like every other captive, potentially extending her time here, offering harsher accommodations, snorts, or even jeopardizing her return home. Morrison was leveraging Greta to pressure Anna. My options boil down to this, Anna replied deliberately. Assist Morrison in pulling my sister into cooperation, or witness her endure the fallout from defiance. Your decision, Hayes countered, boils down to performing your duties or getting reassigned, probably court-martialed for getting too close to a detainee. Anna got the picture. No path forward felt right, only shades of disloyalty. She rose to her feet. I'll keep serving as interpreter. Excellent. And Pfizer, your sibling's fortunate to have you nearby, even if she's unaware. Anna headed to her bunk, sensing she'd essentially auctioned off her own flesh and blood. Yet Hayes had nailed one truth. Preferable her presence there over some indifferent soul, indifferent to Greta's fate. On the following Monday, Anna stepped back into interrogation chamber 3. Morrison kicked off by inquiring whether Greta had settled on cooperating. Greta glanced at Anna, then shifted to Morrison. I'll share broad insights on operational routines, she stated, but no personal identities. Nothing that points to folks who might end up in the dock. Morrison's brow furrowed. That falls short of our agreement. That's my proposal. You're aware this caps the perks we can extend. I get it. For the hour that followed, Morrison pushed to shift her stance, demanding concrete identities, precise sites, granular facts exceeding Greta's proposal. She stayed resolute. Anna relayed the exchange, struck by her sibling's bravery, though dreading the price tag. As the meeting wrapped, Morrison showed clear irritation. She's proving stubborn, he remarked to Anna. Try reasoning with her, interpreter to inmate, sister to sister. That can cut through where rank and protocol fail. Anna's gut twisted. Sir, I'm not sure that's appropriate. Fisher, just chat with her. Unofficially, probe if you can break through. Thus, 2 days on, Anna entered the detainees' lounge area. Dusk had fallen. Greta was solitary at a window-side table, absorbed in a volume from the Red Cross. Anna drew near cautiously. Quote 98, she inquired in German. Greta lifted her gaze. Their stares connected. After 13 years, they shared a space free of Morrison, absent vigilant sentries, beyond the rigid interrogation format. Merely siblings. Of course, Greta replied. Anna took the seat. A prolonged hush settled. Hard to fathom it's truly you, Greta murmured at last. Tell me about it. How long have you been stationed here? 8 months. I've handled interpretations for countless detainees. Then you appeared. I figured I was imagining things, Greta added, assumed the strain had cracked me at last. Ditto. Quiet again. A mountain of words unsaid. 13 years to span. But Anna realized their window was tiny. Mere minutes before prying eyes spotted the overdue talk. Morrison's expecting me to sway you toward helping them, Anna confided softly. And will you? Not sure. What should I urge? Greta's chuckle held acid. Wish you'd guide me like in our childhood days. You always had the perfect response. I was just a kid. Clueless. You grasp more than I ever did. Anna denied it with a shake. Greta, cooperating means improved treatment, Hayes assured it. Softer setup, quicker release. You might be back by summertime. Back where? Greta echoed. What's home even mean now, Anna? Germany, 13 years immersed, yet I never fit. America, departed at 13. Forgotten how to reclaim it. Chicago, Anna insisted. Mum, that's our anchor. Tears welled in Greta's eyes. How's she holding up? Fine, and she's longing for you. Does she know we've reconnected? About us? No, only Hayes is in the loop, and that was a mistake. Why spill it? Couldn't stomach the deception anymore. Couldn't endure those sessions feigning unfamiliarity. Greta extended her arm over the table, nearly clasped Anna's fingers, halted short, recalled the boundaries. If I hand over names, she continued, innocents land behind bars, folks merely clocking in same as I did. No real options. Yet refusal brings penalties your way. I'd rather bear it myself than them. Anna swelled with equal parts admiration and dread. Nobility isn't required. This isn't nobility. It's realism. I can weather anything they throw at me in this place, but not the burden of condemning others to cells, not even those tied to the Nazis. Not them either. At what point does it halt, Anna? I served the Nazis. Do I deserve jail? Every desk jockey in Germany? Every order follower on trial? Anna had no retort. I'll assist up to the point it spares ruining lives, Greta declared. That's my boundary, and if Morrison objects, tough luck for him. A sentry materialized at the entrance. Session over, Mum. Anna gazed down at her sister, her expression tender. Stay safe, she murmured. You as well, Greta replied. As Anna departed, a heavy burden settled over her, the impending fallout from Greta's partial defiance weighing on her mind. She knew she'd be forced to witness the repercussions unfold. It began subtly at first. Sarah Chen noted that Anna appeared preoccupied in meetings. Michael Roth, a fellow interpreter, pointed out how Anna's assessments of Greta Weber delved deeper than those for other detainees. Then, toward the end of April, Sarah approached her outright during a break over coffee in the interpreter's break room. Anna, she began gently, mind if I get personal for a second? Anna tensed right away. Sure, what's on your mind? That PW you've been handling, Weber, something about her getting to you? How so? You seem off after your sessions with her. More rattled, more distant. And in your write-ups, they come across as shielding her. You highlight her absence of political zeal, her financial incentives, her restricted knowledge of key details. Almost like you're downplaying any blame. Anna's pulse quickened. Quote 107, quote 108. Sarah's gaze was warm, yet probing. It seems like there might be more you're holding back. I'm not sure what you're getting at. Sarah inched closer. No accusations here, just checking in as a colleague. Any tie that makes this tough on you? Anna ached to reveal it all, to spill the secret. Yet Colonel Hayes's caution rang in her ears, admitting it could lead to a court-martial. Quote, 112, she replied. Quote, 113. Sarah seemed sceptical, but accepted it with a nod. Quote 114. Just 2 days on, Captain Morrison summoned Anna to his quarters. Quote 115, he stated bluntly. Quote 116. Quote 117. A chill gripped Anna. Anna struggled to sound even. Anna held his stare. Quote 125. Morrison eyed her intently for what felt like ages. Quote 126. Anna's chest tightened. There's no dynamic. Then explain why she eyes you like that? The words lingered. Like what? Anna probed cautiously. In the questionings, she tracks you, gauges your responses, adjusts based on your cues. It's understated, but evident, as if she's tailoring her words for a single listener. Anna's thoughts whirled. Greta had slipped up. Revealing her attention too openly, Anna suggested. Morrison wasn't buying it fully, but he added, still, I'll push for a new interpreter to play it safe. Sir, swapping now would throw off the momentum midstream. You've seen how trust is building. She's loosening up. A replacement resets everything. Or it cuts out whatever's keeping her guarded. Panic surged in Anna. Grant me another 2 weeks. Let me wrap up the progress. If there's no headway, then rotate someone in. Morrison mulled it over. 2 weeks? Fine, Pfizer. But if I uncover any deception, it won't just derail you. It'll doom her too. They'll isolate her, label her a threat, turn her final days here into a nightmare. Understood, sir. Yet as Anna exited, another realization hit. The noose was tightening. Eyes were on them, and the secret wouldn't stay buried long. With only 2 weeks, Anna needed a plan. Continuing as Greta's voice without drawing scrutiny was untenable. Yet halting meant exposing Greta to an indifferent handler. It was a no-win bind, and matters deteriorated further. By early May, with Germany's capitulation looming, Camp Forest ramped up for an influx of thousands more captives. Recruitment efforts ramped up for fresh translators, while security measures grew stricter and counterintelligence ramped up monitoring of inmates flagged as possible threats. Greta ended up on that roster, not due to any wrongdoing on her part, but simply because her limited willingness to engage had sparked suspicions. Factoring in her US roots and her role in signals operations, she earned a _139_ label, triggering extra oversight, regular questioning sessions, and the threat of isolation from the main group. Colonel Hayes summoned Anna to his office. "140, he stated flatly. 141, Anna's stomach churned. She's not acting out of spite. She's shielding others. She's shielding Nazis. She's shielding folks who happen to staff German bureaus." Hayes let out a heavy breath. Pfizer. "I get where you're coming from, but I'm powerless here. Without useful intel from her, she'll get bumped to a riskier category, and I can't intervene. What if I persuade her to open up more? Could you manage that?" "I'm not sure, but I'll give it a shot." Hayes gave a reluctant nod. "You've got 7 days. Beyond that, it escalates beyond my reach." Anna sought permission for another unofficial chat with Greta. They convened in the camp's library this time, a cramped space with sentries posted outside, capped at 10 minutes. Anna cut straight to it. "149, she warned in German, 150. Greta's expression remained steady. "I figured as much." "You figured?" "Greta, do you grasp the implications? Harsher treatment, extended detention, maybe even charges once you're sent back." "I get it." "Then why resist giving them what they ask for?" Greta eyed her sister with an unreadable look. "Remember our childhood? When Dad busted us taking cookies from the pantry?" The shift caught Anna off guard, and she faltered. "Huh?" He demanded, "Who took them?" And I confessed, "Me, even though it was you." "Do you recall?" "Yeah. I covered for you. Took the heat so you didn't have to. And you were furious. You insisted I should have been honest. That fibbing was wrong." No matter the reason. Tears pricked Anna's eyes. Anna longed to yell, to grasp her sister and force the point that high principles wouldn't rescue her. "Mum needs you back," she pleaded. "She's endured 13 years of waiting. She can't bear losing you twice." Mum would get it. Would she? Or would she urge you to do anything to make it through? Greta offered a wistful smile. "You're likely correct, but I must face my own conscience, and betraying souls isn't something I can carry." The guard rapped on the door. Their time had elapsed. Rising to go, Anna felt Greta's fingers brush hers, a fleeting contact, enough to sense her sister's long-lost warmth after all those years. "I'm sorry I vanished," Greta murmured. "Sorry Dad dragged me away and I couldn't return. Sorry for everything." "It wasn't on you." "Perhaps, but the regret lingers." "Greta, Look after Mom. Assure her my love never faded. Remind her of Chicago, of her, of you, how I never stopped missing it all. Convey it in person when you're home. Greta clasped Anna's hand briefly, then released it. Quote 176, she replied, but Anna caught the true undertone. Farewell. On May 7th, 1945, Germany capitulated. The announcement raced through Camp Forest like a blaze. Troops whooped in celebration. Captives shed tears. Europe's conflict had ended. Yet for Greta, the capitulation carried a graver weight. 48 hours later, officials relocated her to isolated quarters. Not as discipline exactly, but under security rules while her status hung in review. Anna pushed to visit, but got turned away. She confronted Colonel Hayes. "Sir, the fighting's done. She poses no danger now." The ceasefire doesn't alter her uncooperative standing, though it ought to soften our approach. Repatriation's imminent regardless. Why isolate her at this point? Hayes shifted uneasily. Certain worries persist. What kind? Regarding her kin ties, potential outreach to US contacts, and if she represents a lingering hazard. A chill gripped Anna. You suspect her of espionage? We suspect concealment. Until clarified, isolation continues. Dread dawned on Anna. They harbored doubts about Greta's American ties. That explained the separation. Investigators were digging deeper into Greta's history, inching toward the truth that Anna was her sibling. Anna faced a tough decision. She could keep quiet, allow the probe to continue, and pray they missed the link. Or she could come clean right away, shape the story herself, and perhaps shield Greta from harsher fallout. Sleep evaded Anna that evening. Her mind wandered to Greta, isolated in her quarters, likely gripped by fear. She pictured their mother back in Chicago, anxiously awaiting updates. She reflected on, over a decade apart, the electric instant in the interrogation chamber when their eyes met in mutual recognition, and all the subsequent meetings where they'd feigned detachment. At last, she resolved to act. Come morning, Anna entered Colonel Hayes's office. "Sir," she began, "I must reveal the complete truth regarding Greta Weber, and myself." Hayes motioned toward a seat. "Go ahead." Drawing in a steadying breath, Anna laid it all out. Beyond merely admitting Greta was her sister, she explained their father's decision to relocate Greta to Germany, the correspondence that had abruptly ceased, her own path to becoming a translator in hopes of locating her lost sibling, the shocking reunion in that room, the strain of every follow-up session where she'd relayed words between her own flesh and blood, the agonizing bind they'd shared. Silence hung heavy when she concluded. Hayes pondered in stillness. Quote 187 underscore. He inquired at length, quote 188, quote 189, and she was concealing me. Quote 190, quote 191, quote 192, quote 193, quote 194. Hayes arched a brow. Hayes mulled it over. Hayes reached for the telephone, dialed, exchanged hushed words Anna couldn't catch entirely. He replaced the receiver and met her gaze. Greta returns to the main barracks today. Repatriation processing starts for her with the upcoming transport to Germany, likely by month's close. Thank you, sir. Save your thanks. You've effectively closed the book on your service and maybe invited grave accusations. It was necessary. Was it? Hayes pressed. She heads home. You endure a court-martial. Where's the gain? The gain, Anna replied, is safeguarding her at last, like I failed to do 13 years back when father whisked her off, like I couldn't manage then, but can achieve today. Hayes sighed, shaking his head. Dismissed, Fisher. Head to your room. Stay put in the facility. An officer will arrive for your account. Anna rose and approached the exit. Fisher, Hayes added. She paused. For whatever it counts, he continued, I believe you chose correctly, though it was grueling. Anna inclined her head, departed, and after 8 months of tension, drew her first easy breath. For 3 days, Anna remained restricted to her quarters as military police delved into the matter. They questioned all involved: Morrison, Sarah Chen, fellow interpreters, sentries who'd observed her exchanges with Greta. The facts stood undeniable. Anna had identified Greta as kin from their initial encounter, withheld the information, and persisted in her duties amid the glaring conflict. Yet the inquiry uncovered more. Anna's interpretations proved precise. Her summaries, though guarded, held no falsehoods. Every utterance from Greta appeared faithfully recorded. She'd adhered to every guideline save the one, concealing their kinship. Crucially, Greta had sought no favours from Anna, never leveraged their tie for benefit. The sisters had upheld impartiality amid their private turmoil. On day 4, Colonel Hayes visited Anna's space. No court-martial for you, he announced. Anna glanced up, startled. Sir? Counterintelligence examined it all. You breached disclosure rules, but security stayed intact. Translation spot on. Behaviour otherwise impeccable. So, they're extending an option. What sort? Discharge, honourable yet prompt. You exit the service, forfeit clearance, but sidestep prosecution. Anna processed the terms. Your record will reflect satisfactory fulfilment of duties, released in May 1945. The details of the situation remained unspecified. And Greta? She's undergoing repatriation procedures. She'll likely depart by ship next week. The Red Cross has received notification. Your mother will learn that both daughters made it through the war unscathed. Tears welled up in Anna's eyes. Could I visit her one last time before she leaves? Hayes paused briefly. Formally speaking, that's not possible. You're no longer part of the military. You lack entry to the facility. But unofficially... He rose from his seat. There's a closing session scheduled for tomorrow at 10:00 hours, where all departing prisoners that week consult with Red Cross officials. It takes place in the central hall, packed with people, simple to blend into the throng. Anna grasped his meaning. Thank you, sir. I didn't hear a word of this, Hayes replied, then exited. Come morning, Anna donned everyday attire for the first time in 8 months and approached Camp Forest as an ordinary guest, rather than a soldier. The central hall buzzed with activity, filled with scores of prisoners, Red Cross personnel, officials, and the general disorder of those readying for departure. Anna spotted Greta on the far side. She appeared transformed in her ordinary outfit. The Red Cross had supplied garments for the women heading back. Greta had on a plain blue cotton frock that hung loose on her slender build. Yet she resembled her old self more closely, the sibling Anna recalled from years past. Anna wove her way through the masses. Greta noticed her, their gazes locked. No observers this time. In particular, no Morrison, no sentries recording their exchange. Anna arrived at her sister's side. For 13 years they'd been denied physical contact, denied a hug, denied the chance to simply act as siblings. Here, amid a room teeming with unfamiliar faces, Anna drew Greta close. Greta leaned into her, breaking into quiet sobs. They clung together for what felt like ages, silent, simply absorbing the presence of one another after endless separation. Quote, 221, Greta murmured, for it all, for going away, for, quote, 222. Anna interrupted. Nothing was your doing. I regret not pushing harder to keep contact. I should have, but you endured. That's the key. They eased apart a bit. Anna brushed the tears from Greta's cheeks. You're heading back, Anna told her, to Chicago. Mother's there waiting. Will you join us? Absolutely, I'm getting my discharge. I'll arrive home shortly. You face consequences for my sake, for the paths I chose, and I'd choose them over again. Greta managed a tearful grin, forever shielding me. Without fail. A Red Cross staffer drew near. Weber, time to wrap up your documents. Greta inclined her head, glanced once more at Anna. We'll meet in Chicago. We certainly will. One final clasp, brief and firm. Then Greta trailed the worker to the paperwork stations. Anna observed her departure, saw her sister maneuver through the administrative maze that would bring her to American soil, saw her fade into the multitude, and realized this parting was fleeting. This time they would reunite, 3 years on in Chicago, Illinois, during the summer of 1948. Anna Pfizer lounged on the front porch of her mother's home, observing the local kids at play in the road, the very road of their childhood. The familiar row houses, the enduring trees, aged yet resilient. Countless things had shifted, equally as many lingered unchanged. Greta stepped out from inside, bearing 2 tumblers of lemonade. She'd regained her strength since coming back. The emaciated inmate from Camp Forest had regained her vitality as a robust woman. Her hair was now cropped in a modern American cut, and she laughed more readily, even if traces of hardship lingered in her gaze. Quote 223, Greta remarked, settling next to her sister. Quote 224. They shared a peaceful quiet for a spell. Such moments had woven into their daily rhythm. Lazy afternoons on the porch, sharing space without need for words, compensating for those lost 13 years via mere nearness. Greta now held a position at the library, sorting volumes and assisting visitors, the identical library of their youthful Saturday escapes. Anna was employed by the University of Chicago, instructing in German, preparing future linguists. They rarely delved into war stories, their actions, or the stark interrogation chamber where deception had been mandatory. Yet in the dead of night, when rest evaded them, they'd gather in the kitchen to discuss their father, his decision to bring Greta to Germany, if his remorse had truly deepened before the end, the halted correspondence, the prolonged quiet, the dread of permanent loss, that instant of mutual awareness over the questioning desk, those 3 frozen seconds when time halted. Do you still dwell on it? Greta wondered aloud, eyeing the youngsters at their games. On how narrowly we escaped eternal parting. Constantly, Anna replied. If your camp assignment had differed, if my capture had come a week sooner or later, if Morrison hadn't required a translator on that exact day. The improbability of it all. I get that. Greta drank from her glass. Was it mere luck or something greater? Anna grinned. That's mother's talk. Their mum had settled on destiny as the explanation. She'd concluded that some divine force, or perhaps the cosmos itself, had orchestrated the reunion of her girls, making all the hardship worthwhile since it paved the way for that moment. Anna wasn't sure she shared that view, but she did trust the decision she'd reached to come clean, to shield Greta, to walk away from her army service instead of perpetuating the deception. At the very least, that had been her own call. I received a letter a few days ago, Greta murmured. It came from Germany, written by a colleague from my group. Anna shifted to face her. She expressed her gratitude, Greta went on, for holding back on details when the US forces questioned me. She mentioned that 3 folks from our department faced scrutiny, yet the accusations fell apart without my input. Do you wish you'd been more forthcoming? Anna inquired. About cooperating further. Greta paused to reflect. Not really, though I get why you hoped I would. You were looking out for me. I always look out for you too. That's the role of the big sister, even if the little one has outgrown the need for it. Anna grinned, especially in those situations. A vehicle arrived outside, their mom Dorothy back from shopping. The years of conflict had left their mark on her, but with both girls under one roof again, a spark of her old energy had returned. She gave a cheerful wave from the driver's seat. The sisters rose to assist with the bags. In the kitchen, the aroma of roasting chicken filled the air, the scent of home, of security, of the existence they'd nearly forfeited for good. That night, once the meal was done, the plates cleared and their mother had retired, Anna and Greta returned to the porch. "Have you ever pondered it?" Greta asked. "What life might have been like if Dad hadn't brought me to Germany? If we'd remained as one family through it all, we'd surely be altered versions of ourselves. Maybe. Would that have been preferable?" Anna gazed at her sibling, at this resilient woman she'd grown into, tougher than Anna had ever imagined, bolder than others recognized, willing to uphold her values no matter the price. Quote, 234. Anna replied truthfully, quote, 235. Greta's eyes welled up. "I longed for you every day during those 13 years. I understand. And then, spotting you in that chamber, realizing it was truly you, I was torn between joy, sorrow, and rage. Me too. I ached to dash over the desk and embrace you, but we both realized the consequences if we tried. Still, we managed it." Anna affirmed. "Ultimately, we discovered a means to safeguard one another." Greta agreed with a nod. "You forfeited your profession on my account. I'd make the same choice tomorrow." "I believe you, and that's what frightens me." Anna chuckled. "Why? That I'd give up so much for you? That you've always done so?" "From our childhood antics, when you'd cover for my mischief, right up to Camp Forest, when you admitted the truth to spare me." Quote, 245. Quote, 246. Anna clasped her sister's fingers. "You returned to me after 13 years. Through warfare, through all the forces conspiring to divide us, you came home. That's more than sufficient." The street lamps flickered to life. Mothers summoned their kids indoors. The warm summer dusk eased into a soothing night. On a porch in Chicago, two siblings lingered. An ocean, a global conflict, and uncontrollable events had driven them apart. They'd been compelled to face off as adversaries, silenced from recognizing their connection. Yet they'd reclaimed their path, not back to their former selves, which the war had irrevocably transformed, but toward a fresh bond, forged in the conviction that kinship endures the harshest trials the world imposes. "I'm grateful you were the one interpreting," Greta whispered. "Despite the difficulty, despite the dilemma it created for you, I'm thankful it was you." "How come?" "Because in that whole facility, you alone regarded me as a person, beyond mere foe or captive. You saw me as Greta." Anna tightened her grip on her sister's hand. Quote 252. Even amid the Weber facade, clad in that drab attire, particularly in those moments, the old porch groaned under their weight. The very spot where, as kids, they dreamed aloud, shared confidences, and vowed eternal sisterhood. That vow had weathered 13 years apart. It had endured the conflict. It had persisted in an interrogation space where words were forbidden, and at last it could simply be uncomplicated, authentic, intact. Two sisters reunited at home,